Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday night, and where else would you rather be than here at the Black Cat Lounge? Listen, I know that you guys have no lives. This is why you're here. This is why I love you guys, because we are out there just being who we are, where we are, and that's usually lost. And that's right. And here we are, where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station. You can't miss us. Just follow the aroma to the right, and you're right there. Now, we got a great show for you tonight, but I want to just go and I want to thank a lot of people for all the well wishes. I had my 6-month scan today and my scope and all that other stuff. Everything is fantastic. And my wife, Nancy, just said she's getting paid to be here. Yeah. Okay. Big money, big money. So anyway, but everything is looking good. So, we got some new adventures we're going to be planning. And, I can't wait because, as you guys know, I was just up at the site of the Hydesville house, the Fox Cottage in Hydesville, New York. And I got permission to actually get inside next time I go up there, to get inside of the enclosure that covers the foundation. And I might be able to do maybe an EVP session or two. So it's going to be an interesting thing. So I've got a lot of things that are getting planned for the summer. Also, I got to tell you guys, wow, I was at the Ghostlight Theater this weekend. Now, the Ghostlight Theater was an old German church. I got to tell you a little bit about it. I love this place because they have some great community theater there, and they have some unbelievable scary stuff that they go and they actually tackle Dawn of the Dead and Dracula and all this stuff. It's crazy. I love it. Some really dark stuff. It's a phenomenal place. And again, it was an old German theater, and a guy by the name of Father Louis Dahlman. Now, I was brought up Roman Catholic and spiritualist, of course, as you guys know, and Father Louis Dahlman was actually a parish priest where I went to school, and he actually bought it and he turned it into a theater. And now I believe Dan Schwartz is owning it and running it. And I got a chance to talk with him a little bit, and he's got all sorts of great stories about that place. So we're going to go and we're wrangling him in right now. I'm pulling him in right now because people are just enthralled with it. But I got to tell you what happened. Now, you know me. I love urban exploring, hanging out. You know how it is. And I went in there with no expectations. I thought, nah. I went down to this little tiny mini kit, and I'm not going to bother to do anything. I just want to hang out. I want to experience it. I just love being in this theater. It's being rebuilt. So my buddy Frank from Buffalo Phantom Hunters and a buddy of mine, Chris, who I haven't seen in a long time, they're stuck in this little tiny stairway. And if you know Frank's a big muscle head, and we call him a lunker. He can't work out at some gyms because he intimidates everybody else. But he's a big dude. He's sitting at the top of the stairs, and Chris is like this mad genius. He's got these 3 or 4, I believe, REM pods that he built. I mean, they're really impressive. So he's at the bottom of the stairs, and Frank keeps going, I feel like there's something up there. I feel like there's something up there. So they're trying to go and get some contact, and they're getting a little bit. Well, Chris turns around and he looks at me because I had gotten up to this because there's a bell tower and there's a big bell still up there. He goes, I know what, maybe let's try a target object. He brought out some Jack Daniels, a little bottle of Jack Daniels. First of all, if the Jack Daniels was in my pack, it would have been gone. It would have been gone already. But anyway, he went and he brought it out, put it on the shelf. He goes, hey, do you want some of this? Maybe this will really make it loosen your tongue. Every REM pod on these stairs lit up. Couldn't believe it. Buzzers are going. I'm going, well, now we know what works there. That was great. So time comes, it's towards the end of the night. It's an early night. You know me, because I like to be in bed. Whenever I do a contract with a producer or a production company, I always say I like to be in bed by midnight. Let's get the thing done and let me go back to the hotel. So it's ending, it's getting there. And so they collected their stuff up. So I said, I'm just going to look up there. And in the ambient light, I just saw a whole body just do this. Look down and go back. I just stood there for a couple seconds, and then it went down again. And it's kind of like staying there. I go, Chris, come here. I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. Chris looks up there and goes, holy crap. Actually, I don't think that's exactly what he said, but that's GP enough for us. And he goes, oh my God. And Frank kept going, son of a pup. I kept feeling that this thing was going to go and push me down the stairs. As a matter of fact, I was walking down the stairs and he goes, don't you push me down these damn stairs. So that it was really great. It was a great time. So if anybody gets a chance to investigate the Ghost Light Theater in Tonawanda, New York, do it. Do it. It's a phenomenal place to go. Now, a lot of people also have been asking me about, my good friend Joe Pieri. And now that he's on the mend, I just want to bring it out there for everybody that he's out of ICU and he's actually feeling better. So all the healing that we have been sending him has helped. That and a lot of antibiotics, I'm sure a lot of care, but it's really helped him a lot. And he's kind of got his sense of humor back. So I know he's starting to feel better. He's still got a little bit of, healing to do. So again, guys, just go and send it out. And I want to say hello to Chris, and Chris is in the room. How are you, Chris? Bill Randall from the USS Edson is on. He's my hero. Marty's in the room. Chris is in the room. My buddy that calls me the Tank is in the room, and a bunch of people are in the room. I'm so glad everybody's there. Rick Perry's in the room, and Margaret's in the room. I'm so thankful that you guys are here. Now, thank you. And the last thing on the agenda before we bring on our fantastic guest, she is effervescent and iridescent. I just can't say enough about her. But anyway, we're going to go, and I just want to thank everybody for actually tuning in yesterday for the healing service that I did here. And it does work. It does work. Believe me. And we may be doing it. I'm not sure if we're going to do it every week again or every couple of weeks, but it was very, very important. And it's something that a lot of people don't know about me because, everybody knows I've been a medium. Oh my God, 40 years, whatever, more than that, because I hate to say that my age, but I was always wanted to be a healer rather than a medium because that's not my thing. I was trained as a gallery worker, but that's neither here nor there. But as a healer, that was my thing, to project out. And absentee healing, I've studied different modalities and stuff, but it was up to you. It was you guys. It was all you guys that did it. You guys got together. It was that joined energy, that an intent that was sent out. And I believe that it helped so many different people out there. So I really love it. And Steve Intermill's in here. And I got to just tell you something. He just wrote something. Steve Intermill is the curator of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. He's a good friend of mine, and everybody knows I loved and knew Ray Buckland. And he just wrote, Tim, we just got a stack of different Ouijas here ranked to level of activities. So looking forward to sharing them with you in a couple weeks. And I'll be in Cleveland, Ohio. We're actually doing a gallery exhibit. We have a really great photographer that is going to be putting up different her photographs. And we're going to go, and I'm going to bring up all my, psychic advertising and my photos of gypsies and all this stuff that I've got in my archives. And, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll be, I believe it opens up on I think June 1st or 2nd, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do that. But anyway, let's just get enough of everything. Let's get our guest on, because people lost their freaking mind when I went and said that's the topic tonight. Ouija boards are so misunderstood. They're like that redheaded child of all divination products. They really, truly are. And I mean, I was brought up using them. It never bothered me, I mean, I was playing with a Ouija board one day with my mother, and it started to spell out F-U-C, and I said, we better stop there, right there. So you never know what comes in. But anyway, I want to just bring on our guest, and I am just like so thrilled to do so, because I got a chance to meet our guest at the Michigan Paracon up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, a couple years, like 2 years ago, the year before the plague hit. And I just love her to death. And I can't wait to pick her brain today. And on top of it, they brought this unbelievable collection of Ouija boards. I walked in there and I had to go out there and then like jumpstart my heart again. Be honest with you. It was like this absolutely crazy collection of it. So anyway, our guest tonight is on the board of directors of the Talking Board Historical Society. She's a host of Creative Visions TV. She's a sought-after speaker. She's, again, I'm going to tell you the truth. She's effervescent. She's iridescent. She is the absolute crown queen of talking boards. Everybody, welcome to the Black Cat Lounge, the phenomenal Ms. Karen Dahlman. Yes, Karen, how are you, my dear? We're going to go and switch to a better. There we go. So you look even more beautiful and you're surrounded by Ouija boards. I wanted everybody to see the full scope of what you have.
Well, you guys, it's an honor to be here at the Black Cat Lounge. My first appearance here, Tim. Thank you for having me. And I'm watching the comments here. You got a great following. I know some of those people in there too. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get down and dirty with the Ouija tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I saw a movie that was made in the late 70s like that. So I think it was on a Super 8 reel. Let's not go any further than that. But anyway,
I just had to bring it up, just in case. You never know.
Hey, some people, no. There is a niche audience, but we're not going to go that far. Okay,
we'll keep it clean.
Oh my God! I think I snorted. I'm sorry.
You did. That was not me, you guys. That was him. This way. You guys, the camera's reversed. It's like I got to remember to point that way, and he's really over here.
Just go like this. You'll cover all the bases.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Karen, I got to ask you. And this is something that I want to know because I love the backstories of people because I think it's really fascinating how we all got to the point we are right now in our interests and stuff. So, I mean, listen, I sat down, we had dinner together up in Sault Ste. Marie, and I thought to myself, this lady, well, she's pretty normal, right? I'm just going to say this lady's pretty normal, And I got to tell you, your knowledge of the Ouija board just blew me away, and some of the topics that we were talking about. So, how the heck did a nice lady like you get? And I'm going to say that because yes, you're a very nice lady. You were very nice to me, at least. Listen, just because you ride motorcycles on Friday nights and drink cheap beer and burn things down. I mean that doesn't count. But you were nice to me. I'm sorry. But how did you ever get an interest in this? Because in this day and age, so many people are they poop themselves at the thought of a Ouija board even being in their house. So how did you get involved in it?
Well, we're not going to go into the whole story. There's so much, you guys. It goes way back to 1973 to be exact. But, I got into it from a couple girlfriends down the street. They introduced me to the board and I was hooked, realizing it was working for us. We also were able to communicate with one of their dead sisters. That's right. They had a dead sister. Apparently one of the girls in the room, the older girl in the room, she had a twin sister at birth who died shortly after birth. But what really I found incredibly exciting was the fact that this baby that died after birth was growing up in another dimension in the afterlife. Let's just call it that. In the afterlife, she was growing up, and she was also the same age as the girl in the room. To me, that was more amazing than that the dead really existed or still there was an afterlife, because I already believed in that from my upbringing with Catholicism. I already believed in, like guardian angels and the spirit beings, and that people do have an afterlife, heaven and hell, and all that stuff. So, to me, that was just a given. But the fact that here was a child growing up on the other side got me hooked. And from that point on, it just kept growing with me. For example, you guys, let me see, turn this way. This board back here, that's my original board I got from Santa Claus, December 25th, 1973. So technically, I've been using the board since the summer of 1973, 48 years, doing this work on the board, talking to spirits and many other kinds of beings. What I find exciting about using this tool is that you can contact and connect with all types of consciousness, as long as it has some sentience about it. By the way, you guys, thank you. I hear you like my necklace. Thank you very much. I had this made for OUIJA in 2015. So I've had it for quite a few years, and I forgot, and I saw it, and I was like, I got to wear this Tim's Black cat lounge. It's like, that's what you wear in a lounge, right? These kind of necklaces. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Listen, here in the lounge, we go and entertain all types. That's all I got to say. We go from the vampire chic,
right,
to the zombie rips. You know what I mean? So you are just fitting right in perfectly. And it's the right way to do it. The right way to do it. But I love that because of the fact that you started early. And it's really unique when you start thinking to yourself the years that you did start with it, and you had good experiences with it. And why do you think that everybody, here's something that I already, this I know the answer to, but I'm going to just throw it out to you anyway. Why does bad news about Ouija boards spread so quickly, but yet we look at history, we look at the Norman Rockwell photos or the paintings, we look at all these other wonderful paintings, and they had Valentine's Day cards and all of this stuff. Why doesn't society remember the good stuff and only concentrate on the bad stuff?
Well, it's just like basic psychology. People love the adrenaline rush. People love the scare. People love to fear the mysterious nature of this tool, but also it has to do with death. I mean, when it came out around the time of the movement in America, which was our spiritualist movement, which started in 1848. Excuse me, I got to remember which era we're in right now. 1848 with the Foxes, just in upper state New York. They were finding all different types of ways after they came out in the I'll call it the market to make money. Once they came out, it was like everybody was finding different kind of contraptions to use. And when the Ouija board hit the scene about 1886, that's when it's like here's something we can use at home. Any of us can make this. It's just the alphabet, maybe some numbers on a cutting board or on an old piece of lumber or something, or on our kitchen table. So it's like that kind of thing. But because it has such a mysterious nature about it, we don't fully even understand how these things work, such as mediumship and psychic abilities. We assume we know what's going on, but do we really? I mean, and the afterlife. So for those reasons, people tend to fear that. And you're told also in a lot of different institutions, specifically some religions will say you don't have the right to communicate with spirits. In fact, it could be considered blasphemy or wrong to do so unless you go through our doctrination or our typical way we teach of how to do it. So I know you're laughing, and it's true,
It's true.
It's true. So my upbringing with Catholicism was that I understood people could speak in tongues, could speak the Holy Spirit. I knew that Moses had received the 10 Commandments on a hill. People speak to the burning bush. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things going on. For me, hearing those stories, I was like, okay, that's just how the spirit world communicates. And so when I got the board at the age of 8, you guys, to me, there was no fear in my family. They weren't like, oh, you can't use that. But Santa Claus gave it to me. They were just like, okay, you got your board. Okay, we're going to go to church, and then when you come home, you can play with your board. They thought it was a game. And I realized shortly it was not a game. And I knew that before I got it. I just didn't want to tell my parents I probably wouldn't have gotten one then. So, I used it, and nobody said, you can't use that. So I used the board in a vacuum. And I've got to say, Tim, the reason why for me, I didn't have these bad experiences, it was always just a neutral. It was just a tool. Like my original one I showed you back here. That's a 1910 one right there. And this is the one from 1950s that I love using all the time. I just put my favorite one right now to use. But the fact is that it was just a neutral device. There was nobody put any kind of connotations on it, except for here we go. This is when I saw the fear start creeping in with some people. I'd invite my friends over for slumber parties. And if you're coming to Karen Dahlman's house, I've always been interested in the paranormal. And so I would say, we're going to do something cool. We're going to use the Ouija board. And they said, well, my mom said, if I sleep over at your house, I can't use the Ouija board. I'm like, okay. So guess what I did? Tim, you're going to love this. I played light as a feather, stiff as a board instead. We're going to do something that's going to tap into these abilities or tap into the afterlife or the paranormal or something we can't explain. Or we're going to tell ghost stories or look for UFO lights in the sky. We're going to tell ghost stories we know from our family. And I had quite a few, actually. So for me, it was just a normal thing in my life that I had a board. I've had it all these years. My parents are still alive. They know I use it. They've sat down with me. My whole family has. It's like, it's just a normal thing. And because it was so normalized and I didn't have any fear about it, I didn't draw that to me. I just approached it as a matter of fact, very methodical, very logical, and said, I'm going to set my intentions. I'm going to use this tool. I'll put it away when I'm done, and just explore the universe, explore the cosmic nature of our world. That's why it was so good for me. And I didn't run into these problems a lot of people talk about having.
I'll tell you, because we had talked off air for a couple minutes, and being brought up Roman Catholic, of course, like you, but also within the spiritualist, modern spiritualist religion, we weren't allowed to use tools. No, there's no tarot cards. There's none of this. There was none of it except in seance. So you had your horn, trumpets, and all this other stuff, and a lot of that was because they feared the frauds, all the frauds, because we have two ages in spiritualism: the golden age of growth and the golden age of fraud that came about between the late 30s going even into the 50s. And I'll tell you what, and I've seen a lot of I saw quite a few frauds when I was a kid, and that's a big thing. That was a big thing why they didn't even like push seances until recently. So that kind of like really cut into it. It kind of made it like anything that has to be hidden becomes almost pornographic, becomes very, 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 very wrong. Now, as someone like yourself who has gone and done all sorts of research into it, you see, I've come across all sorts of different articles. The Ouija board made us do it. There's a huge case here in Buffalo, New York, that a Native American girl went and killed a sculptor who only could sculpt half-naked Indian women if half-naked Indian women were actually in front of him and he was having an affair, and she consulted a witch and they consulted a Ouija board, and then they ended up killing the wife, this whole thing. And I see this time and time again. Or the Ouija board said for me to go and put all my money into some stock or do it here or put it there, and they lost it all. Well, here's the bottom line. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? What do you think? When you die, they know anything better? If Uncle Joe went and lived over a liquor store and never worked a day in his life, and yet you're going to turn around and you're going to listen to stock tips from Uncle Joe, just say no. Just say no. And that's what a lot of people seem to surrender. And I think that's one of the byproducts of our religious organizations, is that we are taught to accept without questioning. And that to me is an obscenity, because you should go and question everything, because let's face it, spirituality is a covenant between you and God, or your God, or whatever. But religion is made by man. What's wrong with you? It's the same thing with divination. It's the same thing with everything. Question everything. And that's where we get it. That's where people are going and screwing.
Yeah, I mean, it's having blind faith. The interesting story about those women, the witch and the Native American woman who killed the wife of the sculptor. She ultimately wanted the Native American woman wanted to be with that guy. The interesting story about it, they both got off. They didn't serve time.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So they really literally killed. They used the Ouija board as an excuse because they consulted the Ouija board, but they did it. The Ouija board didn't take their hand and, make them kill him. So you guys got to think about that too. People do all kinds of things. And I think what Tim just said, we lose our empowerment. We let that go. We succumb and give ourselves over to an experience that's outside of ourselves. Why do that? Stay centered in yourself. When I do the board, you guys, I'm telling you, and if you've followed me before, and over the years I've been using it now, like I said, 48 years, I don't just trust the messages. And I didn't just trust them until I got to the year about 1990, 92, 94, when I met the group of beings I called the guides. And the messages were so over the years have been just about the consistent, and we do readings and stuff, and they work great through me. But in the beginning, you guys, for that first almost 20 years, you cannot rely on it, because can you rely on yourself? The truth is the Ouija board does nothing. You're doing it all yourself. So if you're pulling in some negative stuff, it's because that's what you're attracting, that's what you're wanting, or that's a part of you. You can look at it this way, psychologically. It could be a deeper seated root stuff within you that's finally being projected out here to come back through. So that gets into projection. I'm a therapist, you guys. That's my training. So I always call it OUIJA therapy. I bring that to the board, when I do this work. But so I love that you're saying this, Tim. Really, it's like, don't rely on the messages. Use it for entertainment until, here you go. Here's the key. Until after a period of time, you're going to have to determine what that time is, but you keep copious notes of every session. You start researching stuff, looking it up. Is it accurate? Is it just? Does it fit? Are you bouncing these ideas off of another? And then you might be able to connect and tap into maybe a spirit guide, maybe your great grandmother who's here to communicate, maybe an ethereal being or some other being in a dimension that you can rely on. But you guys, it takes a while to get there. And I got to tell you, I didn't even come out and share my information publicly. There's a few reasons for that, but the big one was I didn't want to write a book even and share my experiences doing the Ouija board until I had actually been using it for 40 years. 40 years. Because I knew that what I was coming through was legit. And at that point, I've been doing readings for so many people with the board that I knew that I could rely on the quality and who these messages were coming from. Now, again, the board doesn't do the work. I'm acting as a psychic or medium. I call myself a channeler, and I'm channeling this. The board becomes my focal point. Yep. Because my focal point for the energies to come through. So just remember that, you guys, you're doing the work.
The other, you hit upon something else. Okay, let's just take the spirituality out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Ideomotor reflex. Yeah. I mean, this is what, as a dowser, as someone who really loves dowsing and practices dowsing almost daily, you realize that sometimes spirit is not moving the little dowsing rods. It's not pulling. It's not pulling the Y rod into the ground. Guess what? It's you. It's all you. But you become the antenna. Now, whether it's for vibrations, whether it's for spirit, or maybe it's your own higher self that you've tapped into. But people don't question any of it. Right away, they turn around and they throw it out there and say, oh, it is spirit. I believe in spirit. Right. First thing that, I'll be honest with you, even the spiritualist church never taught me this until I started handling negative cases. Spirits freaking lie. They lie. They lie. And you know what? It's up to us in order to go and kind of filter all that out and try to find out what the truth is. It's just like a court case. That's the best way I can describe it. You've got to be able to go and you can't be afraid of it. And you got to sit down and, you've got to be able to, kind of just like, let this settle through your brain. But, I think in our society, and I hate that, and I'll jump off this soapbox real quick, but I think in this society, we're so pablum fed that by commercials and what's on TV, that we have given up our right of common sense and making our own decisions. And in Ouija, you've got to do that because we believe in like attracts like. So guess what? You walk into some place, you're going to sit down with a fear. Guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a parasitical spirit. You know what I mean? This is, you don't want to really do it. Well, then don't do it. What's wrong with you? You're going to get something that is negative. And paranormal investigators to Ouija boards, they drive me up the wall because of the fact they won't use a Ouija board, but they use a recorder. What the hell do you think a recorder is? It's a Ouija board except with batteries. That's all it is.
It's called new school, and I use old school.
That's exactly.
When I do investigations, this is my tool, you guys. And I use my body. My body's also my tool too, as a true channeler, spiritualist kind of person. But this is our tool. So you're right that you were talking about the REM pods earlier and things like that. That's like using a Ouija board, you guys. You're attracting the energy to you. I want to talk about this ideomotor because that's beautiful. I love that you brought that up, Tim. You guys, the ideomotor basically says that a tool like this with this planchette, right? Is that how you say it?
Planchette.
Planchetta.
I was taught by an English woman, and that's.
Well, you guys, it is a French word, so I'm going to give it to him. But he's planche, and I'm like planchette. Whatever. Okay,
tomatoes, it's all the same.
Tomatoes, aunt. Okay, You guys, I gotta tell you, when we get together, we just laugh like this. It's like Michigan Paracon. Dinner was like this nonstop. It's so much fun.
Oh,
And Chris is in the room here. Chris knows about it. Chris and Danielle. They know, they were there. Okay, so you guys, let's talk about ideomotor. I think it's really important to talk about this. I am not opposed to that explanation at all. Again, the ideomotor says, this is what the theory is that it's the muscle movements of your body controlled by your brain. So it's like a subconscious thing that happens that moves that planchette or the pendulum or the dowsing rods or whatever you're using, whatever tool that requires movement, and that you're actually creating that yourself. I'm not opposed to it. I'll tell you why. When I use this tool, and since I've been doing readings on this, I mean, legitimate readings, like for people that come and pay kind of thing, since about 1994, I get such accurate information and messages. It doesn't matter. I have no problem to say, well, maybe that's coming through my higher self. Maybe that's coming from my greater self, my inner self. Maybe that's my ideomotor. Doesn't matter. I'm channeling something. I'm tapping into energy and bringing forth the messages. So when I work off the board, I'm doing the same thing. But it's never the tool, you guys. It's always yourself. So to me, ideomotor explains what we already know we can do without this tool. We can do it ourselves. But yet the movement of the planchette, could be associated with my own movements, making it happen. That doesn't matter. It's the message. Don't get caught up in that whole format. Is it ideomotor? Is it really a spirit? Is it this? Is it that?
exactly.
Yeah, ask two people. They're going to have different explanations. Calvin Von Crush, who's a member of the Talking Board Historical Society as well. He's a director.
He knows
Calvin.
I love Cal. I think he's the greatest guy. I love that guy. What a collector he is.
Gosh, he's a fantastic collector and oddities collector. He will be at Michigan Paracon with all the TBHS people. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. But he totally believes in ideomotor. He does not at all believe in spirit communication. I believe in spirit communication more so than probably ideomotor, but I'm not afraid or opposed to it. Mm-hmm. So, but we both know something's happening. Now, can we say with 100% certainty? No, we never will be able to say that. We're in this dimension, you guys. There's different laws of physics here. So I just go, you know what? We both agree to disagree, but we also agree it works. Something's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter how it does. It just works. It just works.
And if you're getting messages that are meaningful and they help you in your life as I see it, or you're picking up information. We were talking about table tipping earlier, and the information you got wrapped out to you that was legit beyond what you even knew. And after you did some research, you found it. I get that stuff all the time, you guys. That's all that I'm concerned about.
People don't get it. Just people don't get it. We're going to really get into this a little bit more. We're going to take a real quick break right now and to pay a couple bills. And first, I want to welcome one of our new sponsors, Buffalo Phantom Hunters. And Tony and Frank work out of Lockport. I believe it's Art. I forget 742, I believe, or no, 642. And they do some great stuff. And here's a quick word from our sponsors. The Black Cat Lounge is brought to you by Paranormal Oddities, the little store with the big heart. Patronus Photographic, fine art, photography, and design. Nancy's Sewing Room, aprons, masks, and handmade purses. And Wild Raven, hand-poured candles for those magical times. And welcome back. This is Tim Shaw. You're listening to the Black Cat Lounge and our phenomenal guest. You know what? She's so phenomenal. I think I feel hair growing. It might be a miracle. Jesus, it might be a miracle. I put her on the show and my hair's starting to grow back in. We have Karen Coleman, and we're talking about all things Ouija today. Welcome back, Karen. This is phenomenal. Oh my God. But when we start talking about that reflex, response reflex, whatever you want to call it, it is amazing because people just don't get it. Because all of a sudden, I find that people just turn over everything to spirit to the spiritual side without thinking. And this is something that I noticed back when the New Age. I'll just go put in parentheses the New Age. I remember, when the New Age came to town, and there was some psychic fairs that came up, and everybody started going and thinking about everything that was so spiritual. And we won't talk about sweat lodges with peyote and stuff like that. No. We'll just shh. That's for after the show. But but people automatically surrendered everything to one side or the other. And there was no combination. There was no flow. And then you brought up Cal. And Cal was so funny because Cal's like, well, you're telling people it's haunted objects. I said, no. What I own is like unusual objects. Everything is energy. And when I started talking about energy, he opened up. And that's when I knew that Cal and I would be great friends. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in spiritual, anything spiritual, you don't believe in religion, you don't believe in anything. But when it comes to energy, science, and that sort of thing, it opens up the whole science of intent. And I believe that 90% of what we do with boards is intent because we bring it up. You brought up Zozo real quick, just in passing.
Earlier, yeah.
Let me just tell you something. I go to the Hinsdale House, which is a haunted house. It's a great place. Been going down there since 2011, and I've interviewed the lady that wrote the book about it, lived there in the 70s. I take my own Ouija board. I donated one up there, and I've used it. Guess what? When I use it with one of my cohorts up there, I get nothing negative, nothing at all negative. Yet I bring some, I'll go up there and help with an event or something. I'll bring it out. Zozo appears. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute. Is it me? Is it me? Or is it the other person? Or all of a sudden did Zozo get the call? Hey, get to Hinsdale, New York now. They are working that damn board again. Get down there and scare the hell out of them.
Let's punk them.
Yeah. And I'm just like, why? Why is this? But when you start questioning those people, what do they think of? I ask them, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Ouija board? The danger of it, Zozo.
Right.
Gee, why is this why it's happening?
Well, I think social media has influenced us quite a bit. When you were doing this work and I was doing this work for many, many years, for 40 years before I even came out into the social media realm, even out in the public, it's like I was doing this in a vacuum. I wasn't on social media until probably about the time I came out, maybe a couple years before. But you learn all this because we can all be in contact with each other, and everybody loves to tell a great story, a good ghost story. And I'm not saying I'm discounting what people's experiences are, but there's many other explanations for those experiences too. We're just really here to talk about Ouija boards, but I will say we were talking earlier, Tim and I were about just psychokinesis and other things that can go bump in the night and things that can move and do things, but it's based more on our own abilities that we're not giving us credit for. So we have to talk about that too when we talk about these tools and stuff. But Zozo, it became a phenomenon over the internet, and then all of a sudden everybody started reading about it, especially younger people, and then would ask for it. And of course, you can get any kind of movement you want, and you could name it anything you want. And even the spirits, like Tim said, they could be tricksters and tell you something else. But is it a full-on evil force that's going to take over your life? I 100% disagree with that. Again, as Tim said, I'm going to parrot this. It's the intent. Now, what I say, intent is like so important, as he said. I think he said 90%. I would put intent up there as well. But I want to say the building block or the blueprint, or let's just call it the framework or the base of all this is really your beliefs.
Right.
So I have to always ask, what are your beliefs about using such a tool, specifically the Ouija board, or even tapping into the possibility of the afterlife or other dimensions? What is your beliefs about that? Do your beliefs stop? You only go afterlife only and I can't do other dimensions? Does it stop there? That's as far as you'll go. Does it even stop to the point of Ouija boards don't work? I won't be able to get it to work. So that influences you guys. There's a subconscious aspect to this. Those beliefs will influence you, even though you have the greatest of intents to make it work or to reach so-and-so or to reach your great grandmother or to communicate with your dead dog. Okay, you could talk to your animals. That's true. It's like that intent, fuels it, but your beliefs is what really makes it happen. So you've got to look, do you think that's even possible? So once you get beyond that and you just say, well, I don't know, but I'm open to the field of possibilities that maybe something can happen, then, oh my gosh, you open the doors open wide. You'll get to the point where you can use this tool, as I mentioned in the very beginning, that you can start tapping into other kinds of sentient beings and consciousness. We don't know enough about consciousness, but science is beginning to explore it and talk more and more about it. I am working on a book, which I've been working on for a few years now because there's a lot of research, but it's about consciousness and how consciousness is the fodder. I won't say it's fodder. It's the fuel of doing this type of work. If you can tap that consciousness, it's like cracking a code, you guys. You crack this code. Once you crack it, you connect with all kinds of consciousness. You got to just learn how to do it. And then the sky, not even the sky, the universe, beyond the universe could be the limit. So that's something to think about. How much your beliefs play into your intentions, and where do your field of possibilities stop? Or do they go on?
Or do they go on? And that's especially important because people are not, see, when we start talking about the world of either metaphysics or paranormal or whatever, people have this schism between the two topics.
Yeah.
They should be married. They should be married. They should be looked at. But the problem is, in so many different places, it's a thrill ride. They're not doing it like for how we do it. You know,
Right.
And I'm not saying that we're correct in everything that we do.
No.
But in the other hand, it's like it doesn't make any sense not to hold each other's hand on this in order to go and create something that may be a hybrid of thought. And people are not getting that thought. People are only getting like the surface. They're not digging deeper. They're not looking to the stars. They are only going and just kind of, they're satisfied with what's going on. And that's wrong. And with what we're doing, working with the boards, that becomes, people don't realize the beauty of the board itself. People don't get the beauty of the communication. People don't get that. And as a therapist, that you're not going to hide anything. It's going to come out. It's going to come out eventually. And that it's going to go and really, just kind of, it's going to color what's going to come through. And that's what's so important.
Yeah.
And I just got to take a break real quickly and just say, hi, Mandy. Mandy's from us, listening in from Australia. And I'm so glad that she took the time, because it's like early morning, and I think she got up, and I think she's still brushing her teeth and having coffee right now. So
yeah, there's people who have been saying hi and stuff. Hi, Colette. Great to see you here. And she loves using the board like I do. It's all intention. Yep, Chris, thank you for that. Welcome here for Australia. That's really cool. Yeah, experience is common sense, right? There's levels of consciousness. So yeah, you're right. There's so many things we're talking about here. So when I talk about the board, you guys, my whole thing is not to go get you to go use a board. Right. My thing is to say, these are my experiences, and I'm going to show you a whole nother aspect and a side to the board. Not that my side's the only way. You can use these tools any way you want, you guys. I just happen to be able to tap into consciousness on a huge level, and it's been very therapeutic in my life and very helpful to my clients. And now, because of the work I'm doing on the board and with the different beings that I communicate with, including the deceased, if you watch my YouTube channel, but I go beyond that. As I mentioned, I speak to spirit guides and I beyond and beyond. I don't know how far we want to go in this conversation, but this could go on and I could tell you about all these different beings. But the thing is this, it's like I am so into the exploration of it, but the reason why is for personal empowerment, is to help people understand they're not alone, number one. Number two is to understand that you have these incredible gifts and abilities within you. The board is one way to show you how to bring them out or how to develop them. Yep.
Yes.
And third, you can really grow personally and start to expand your mind in that process. That is why I came out into public. I was hearing too many negative things about it. And I said, you know what? I got to get my books out. And so, Tim, this is really interesting. So the very first book I wrote was The Spirit of Creativity. I wrote it back in 1997. It's sitting right over here, but I didn't publish it until 2012. I went through a whole major change in my life, a divorce, all kinds of crazy stuff had happened. But what's funny is this book came out, and it says nothing in there about Ouija board, but it told me about all these things I was learning to do through the Ouija board. And plus I was a therapist and helping my clients, and I would get some insight with the Ouija board, some techniques and things I'd studied, and I was using them and practicing them. It was all about empowering yourself, really growing that internal divine empowerment within you to masterfully manifest great things in your life. That's what that book is really about, creating the world you want to live. But I couldn't use anything about the guides or the beings I was talking to, so that was too early in 1997. I was a licensed practicing therapist. I would have been called a quack, quack, quack. Okay. So I couldn't do that. So instead, it came out in 2012. That book, when it first came out, first show I was on was Coast to Coast AM, George Norrie. No lie. First show I was on, and you guys, I had no website. I was being hit all these emails, and people were freaking out. And they said, "We want to know about your backstory." So that's why I brought this book out, "The Spirits of OUIJA," a year later, because this one actually told the whole Odyssey. But my whole Odyssey for 40 years using the board, and the list goes on from there. But that's how it came out for me. People were so surprised to hear somebody say such positive things about this cool tool. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm like, why? That's been my life for the last 40 years.
People don't realize that this can be a tool for intrinsic growth too. And that's just what you're saying. And people miss that whole thing because they're only externalizing it. They're only externalizing to what they've seen in Witchboard or the Exorcist movie or whatever, they don't understand it. And even, like I say, even the churches, many of the spiritualist churches will not embrace it. The New Age churches will not embrace it. Paranormal, for the most part, will not embrace it.
Right.
Yet this is an unbelievable tool that can be used. And if you go and record it, if you go and work with it on a consistent basis, you're going to get consistent answers. You're going to get consistent, positive answers. And if you start getting consistent negative answers, number one, stop using it. Use your common sense and say, okay, there's got to be something wrong here. And number two, look into yourself, because maybe there's something in you that's either A, that you're ashamed of or you are guilty about, or B, like attracts like out there in the world, like we say before, maybe you ought to start really working on yourself. That's the one thing I think the plague has gone and taught so many different people, was that they have to work upon themselves in order to go out there and be more effective in whatever they're doing, paranormal, workplace, whatever. And they don't get that. I
love that you brought that up, Tim. I think that's so important, working on yourself. People say, how do you prepare for the board? How do you use the board? What do you do to prepare? And everybody wants me to say, well, I come to my session and it's a sacred space. The truth is, you guys, the reason why I have such great success on the board, and I know it now from all the years of using it, is because I've been working on myself. Yep. And Tim, you nailed it. I mean, and it doesn't have to be deep and intense. Mine was at times. I went through divorce. We all have shit going on in life. Can I say that word? Oops. It's not a radio. I just said shit.
Hey, we can say stuff like that here. That's what's nice about you. See, that's what's nice. That's why I love talking to you, because let me tell you what. I get yelled at.
I'm gonna cry. That's hysterical.
Hey, when I was on Portals to Hell, when I was doing that psychic walkthrough, every so often an F-bomb would sneak out, and they're filming. And I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And Jack Osborne looked at me and goes, "Oh, don't worry. We swear like pirates." He goes, "That's what editing is for."
Okay, so what I was saying to you guys, okay, so you work on your own shit, okay?
Yes,
what that meant was I was doing so much energy work, not just on personal crap, but also developing my center of my being, working with the white light, learning hands-on healing, studying any kind of tradition, or experimenting with all kinds of New Age, paranormal kinds of things, spiritual, metaphysical. I was learning so many different techniques, past life therapy, regression work. I became a hypnotherapist. I was a therapist. I did past life work on myself. I did on clients for years. I was doing all this stuff, you guys, and all that stuff, I brought it with me to the board. I couldn't separate myself from it. And also, being a therapist, I really learned how to set up a space very sacredly, be very present, be present with the people that are in my sessions. And then all of that gets funneled into and comes into these sessions with me. That is why I've had great experience. Not just because I took a board out of the box and started using it. It's because of all the work. Even as a child, I was one of those kids that back at the age of 8, I was already in the library checking out every single book they had on the metaphysics, paranormal, spiritual, which wasn't many. I think there's 15 or 20 books. You could get enough Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and Spirit, Ghost, and Hans Holzer, things like that.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yes.
Right. I read them all. Okay. And then I was so interested in psychology. I was starting to read Freud and Carl Jung at the age of 8 through 10. I was like, I want to be a parapsychologist. I finally figured out what that meant. So I was already studying these things at such a young age. And I think because I came about it from, well, this is simple. This is just a piece of, cardboard. Mine was masonite. The one back there was masonite. It still is masonite. This one's masonite. This one back here is wood. I have some other ones here that are paper and cardboard. But I just figured, how could that have any power over me? I mean, I'm not going to give it to it. So I just came about this reasonably, thought about it methodically, and then just didn't freak out. Even though I was talking to the deceased supposedly in the beginning, which I believed I was, it was intriguing. Not to say I wasn't scared sometimes, but it was intriguing. And because of that, and because I always said, oh, this is a special board, I'm going to put it back in its box. I just started on my own. My own intuition said, let's respect this tool. I hardly ever called it a game. My friends down the street called it a game. When I got it, it was like the most coolest tool in the world. And I put the planchette back in the box, put the top back on, put it in the closet. I still have the box this day, but now I keep it in a special folder, and I keep it in this little suitcase because I don't want anybody to touch it. I want it to keep it clean, no dust. So it was like I just treated it with respect. And I realized as I became a therapist and all the work I've done with people over the years, it's like having that approach is what really, and working on myself too, like I mentioned, and developing my skills and abilities is what allows us to work so well. And I know that's what Tim is talking about too. He has so much experience with the spiritualist church and what he learned, and his family was okay with it like mine was. That really helps. Now, a lot of people write to me and tell me you don't have that upbringing or those people that are supportive. So then you've got just a whole nother element to deal with, but you can still work with this tool in the confines of your own space, in your own time, and begin to develop it. And you can use it alone. And you can use it just with one or two partners. But I always say, pick your partners carefully. Pick somebody who's also on a similar path and they're open to the level that you want to do and you want to have intentions to communicate. Because I've had people, like you said, you got Zozo, myself too, weird things when I do with people that have those fears. I have no fear about this tool. They're all over my house, you guys. They're hanging up on the walls. I got them all over coffee tables. I mean, I have one in my car at all times. You guys, I drive with the OUIJA board in my car. I've got them everywhere. I travel with them. I can make them on a fly. I mean, here's one I made. I have them everywhere, you guys. And so there you go. This is one of my favorites.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it. I love
Satanic sacks. But you guys, this works great. Anyway, so I have them everywhere.
I love it.
Nothing to be afraid of with them, but yeah, pick your partners carefully. I just want to go back to that point because they're going to either limit you or allow you to go further, and decide what it is you want to intend to reach, and then stick with that over time, and you'll eventually hit it. But also, get that balance with the people you're working with around you that are open to it at least.
Right. Now, we have a question that came in from Andrea. Ariana, I'm sorry. I'm looking. I'm trying to find her questions on the board.
I'm trying to find it too. I'm looking.
What she had said originally was she's been working on herself, except she can't get the planche to move.
Sure. Planchetta. Planchetta. I just think it's funny. When I heard him say, I was like, what? Anyway, listen, it doesn't work right away for everybody. I don't know. For me, it just did. Maybe because I was 8 years old, the magic was there. Santa Claus, all that stuff was still real for me. Santa Claus is real, by the way. But anyway, so look, it does take time. And especially when you're older and you're trying to use this, you're already conditioned that this should not work. And it's a toy. And how could something move, whether it's your ideomotor or your subconscious, movements controlled by your mind, or it's the spirit realm or something. People are telling you it doesn't work. And so you've got that in you somewhere. So you can get beyond that. But the key is this. I call it the 3 Ps. Practice, patience, and perseverance. Seriously, you'll sit at the planchette, at the board. You may sit there 8, 10, 12, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months before it even works for you. I've had friends that have done that. I've had others who sit down and maybe just a matter of 5 or 6 sessions, it works. When I sit down with somebody new, I can't say it always will go and spell great things. So that person's new for me and our energy is not quite synced up yet. It has to really get like this, you guys. It's like, we're not quite there. But once we make that connection, it works every time. But I can tell you, I sit down with anybody who says they can't get it to work, it starts to move. Now, it's usually gibberish. It's nonsensical, not necessarily words. But that's how it starts, you guys. It's all right. So Andrea, is it Andrea's her name? Andrea? Ariana? Ariana. Sorry, Ariana. So the key is this: it's sitting there, like I said, the 3 Ps: practice, patience, perseverance. But sitting there expecting nothing will move, but being open to the fact that it could, and sitting there time and time, and just set your phone, your clock, whatever, to like 30 minutes, 20 minutes at the most. You get no movement, but eventually you're going to feel, and I got to tell you guys, it's such a ever so subtle minutia kind of feeling that just starts to pull and you follow it. And then it becomes kind of jerky and it starts to glide. Before you know, it's moving all over the board. It may not spell out words right. It might be gibberish. You might get one word and a bunch of gibberish. That is typical. That is pretty normal for a lot of people. And also for it not working right away is very, very common. I don't want you to feel like if you really want to use this tool to give up on it. It's like developing any skill. I play golf. I try to play golf. Okay. Been playing it for a while, but that doesn't mean I'm good. But you guys, I got to tell you, with any skill, oh my gosh, I think I've been doing it 15 years and I still, I have to practice and I haven't played in a little bit. So I'm kind of off. It's like that. You got to really, really practice and have patience until you develop that connectivity, that motion, that feeling. And it's such a feel, you guys. I asked everybody I knew I work with. It's such a small feel. Here we go. The planchette. It's such a small feeling. It just goes, and all of a sudden it goes, woo, and you just follow it. And it's like once you can feel that, what that feels like, then you're going to know it. Then you're going to recognize it. But I say, if you can't get it to work by yourself, try to find one person you trust to do it with. They're not going to push it. They're going to say, at least they're open to trying it. So when you two work together, you'll have a much better success rate. That's typically how it works with two people. Much better success rate of it moving. So you can at least tap into and feel that real subtle movement. Once you got that, you're like, click, got it. I'll feel that again next time.
What I try to do with my students is I go, and it's just like table tipping. What I will do is I say, everybody put your hands on the table or the plancher, put your hand on the plancher. And I said, now I'm going to move it.
Yes.
This is how it feels. And I'll push it. And I'm going to say, see how, very, very subtle it is. That is the movement. That's what you're looking for. And I've had great success teaching people to do that, because I think what happens is people go, and it's like table tipping. You have two different types of people. You have the people that press down on the plancher or the table and they're like this and their fingers are white. Or you have the ones that are like this, floating over the top. What is this, an angel? What is this? What are you doing? They don't understand it. Put your hand on there. Just go and lightly do it. Just lightly do it. And eventually they learn to do it. And you're right. They have to recognize the signs. They have to recognize the feeling. And moving, the first time I ever did table tipping, I felt I have both my hands, and that's something that we should think about trying to do up in Sault Ste. Marie, because I'm going to be covering that in my my seance workshop this year. But you put your hands on it, and all of a sudden your body just feels like it's getting pushed, like by this energy, and you can feel yourself. And you don't have the table isn't moving. But the problem is a lot of times your hands are like iron on that table, because psychologically you're like, it's supposed to move. It's, I'm going to get this great big push. And it's not a big push. Everything, it's just like mediumship. Yes. It doesn't come in a great big, the angel Gabriel is not out there with the horn screeching and all this. It's very subtle. Everything at the movement, the sound, the feelings are very subtle. And people finally understand that. Hey, I'm going to keep you just a little while longer because I love you to death. Tell everybody about the Talking Board Historical Society, because that is something that that to me is something that is like a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
I love it because it is probably, I have to say, it is like the font of information. You guys got the king of OUIJA over there. That's the president for forever, like 12 of his future lifetimes. Bobby Murch is on there. So tell everybody about that.
Absolutely. I have to make a comment. Bill Randall in the room.
Oh, I love Bill.
I'm not speaking of my 3-wood, Karen. And guess what? I use my rescue instead. My rescue club, because my 3-wood goes weird sometimes. I'll get my rescue out. Anyway, that's hysterical, Bill.
Let me tell you,
you understand.
I introduced Bill to the Ouija board on the USS Edson. he is a one of the volunteer, and he's one of the docents up there. And we were doing a paranormal thing up there, and I brought a Ouija board, and I had different people. So I was switching people off, working with the Ouija board, and he was just like so enthralled with it. I gave him the Ouija board. I said, "Here you go, Bill. This you can use this in the future." So Bill's a convert now. What can I tell you? He's one of us.
Bill has a collection of one board. No, just kidding. It starts there, you guys. Before you know it, there's so many different types of boards. So let me share with you a little bit more about the Talking Board Historical Society. Yeah, and yes, Murch baby, Ariana says. That's right. Robert Murch is the chairman of the board. And he probably will always be. I mean, it's his brainchild along with a few others who first started this group. It loosely started in the year 2008. They got together and put in that Elijah Bond gravestone out there in Baltimore. And so they formed this group. It's formed of collectors, and basically it's a group of people who are really excited about the Ouija board. There's 6 of us in this group at this point. There were more at different times. People come and go, but right now it's a solid 6 of us. I'm one woman. The rest are guys. You know a lot of them. For example, we talked about Calvin Von Crush a little bit earlier. Mike Zone, he had a great collection of oddities too. Was on a TV show before. We've got John Kozik, who owns the Salem Witchboard Museum. Go see that. Great museum of all kinds of boards too in Salem. And we got Rick Schreck, the VP, who he gave us the world's largest Ouija board recently in Salem a couple years ago. So it's a group of people we all preserve, we all research, we adore, we try to share and educate the public about the truth behind the talking board. And this could be the truths of where it came from, who created it, the facts versus the fiction. We also talk about superstitions, which our good friend Gina Lando, one of the founders of this group, coined that term, Ouija-stitions, to talk about all the superstitions around the board and how that's really cropped up over the years, became part of our pop culture psychology and in our lexicon now. So we just like to share the history. And we are also a nonprofit organization. We do fundraising. We do sell our T-shirts online, and various times we sell boards and other things. But if you really want to help support us, and all the money is a write-off for you, because we are, like I said, a nonprofit organization, you could go to tbhs.org. TBHS, Talking Board Historical Society.org. Go there. You can read about all of us that are part of that, but also you can learn a little bit more about the events we've done. So one of our, like I mentioned, OUIJA, we did that just recently. That was before COVID. That was 2019 in October. We've also done a San Francisco airport, huge collection of boards. Gina Orlando was the one that worked with that the most, with the airport support. We also, San Francisco International Airport, by the way. We did the Helen Peters Nosworthy huge gravestone. We just put it in the Fairmont Cemetery in Denver, Colorado. She didn't have a gravestone, just like Elijah Bond didn't have one years ago. So the family was all behind it. Really were excited that she was going to finally get acknowledged. And nobody even knew she was really a founder of the Ouija board. In fact, she was a gifted psychic, and she has connections to Cora Scott. This woman really used the board in front of the patent office the patent officers to show them this tool worked to get the patent. She was also with her hands on the planchette when the Ouija board named itself during a session. So there's a lot of history there. Go there, you can read all about it. So we just really, want to share with the public our excitement and all about the different types of talking boards out there, and also specifically the Ouija board, because that's what Bob Murch's his thrust is. Where Gina Lando, here's a great website, you guys, great website. Gina Orlando, he's one of the original founders of the TBHS. He has the Museum of Talking Boards.com. Go there and look that up. That's got every single board out there, well, most all of them, including talking boards. Now, Tim, I'm going to quiz you, okay? What is the difference? Yes, here we go. This is your quiz for the night.
I got homework. I
didn't bring this up, but you should know this because, by the way, Tim is a really good friend of the TBHS. He's in one of our more private collectors groups. So we adore Tim. We love his work that he does on behalf of OUIJA and Talking Boards. But okay, what is the difference between a Ouija board and a talking board?
A Ouija board is a brand name.
Yes.
The talking board is a knockoff. So in other words, if you're using a Ouija board, you are using a patent pending Ouija board, copyright, blah, blah, blah. It's an official Ouija board. But anything else out there is a talking board, including your Trader Joe's bag. That is a talking board.
I made this into a talking board.
I love it.
Here's another one I made, you guys. This is a talking board. And let me show you this one. One of my friends developed this board. It could be for pendulum too. This is a talking board.
Wait a minute. Keep that up. I want everybody to see that one. That is gorgeous.
Ask the universal channel board and the planchette. I think I dropped it. Oh, did I drop it on the floor? Oh, well, it's a cute little planchette. It looks just like this, and it goes in the middle, and it's my round one. Flexible. She sells them. I traveled this one. This goes in my suitcase. I keep it in like a little thing like this. It goes in here nicely. It never gets hurt. You can roll it up a little if you wanted to. Great board. Washes off. It's cleanly. So anyway, I love this board. So there's this would be a spirit board or talking board. But you guys, who owns right now the patent and trademark is Hasbro. It has passed through many, many hands. Right. For example, this one right here is a William Fuld board. This one back here would have been William Fuld earlier years. That one back there is small ones, Parker Brothers, and I have them all the way back to the Kinnard Novelty Company, which is like my oldest one is 1892, 93 circa. When 1890 is when they first started making them, the Kinnard Novelty Company, and in 91 they got it patent and trademark. So there's a lot more history there. But the boards have changed a lot over the years. Another reason why I really love collecting Ouija boards. For example, I'll show you something real quick, a fun little trick. This board back here, that is not a sun. This is before it had its face on it. That's actually a full moon. And I think, Tim, you probably noticed the original boards were made with the full moon and a crescent moon in the corner with the star.
Right.
Not until later, it was about the 40s when it got transformed more into this. Up here, you have the sun. You can see it back there on my other board. Get out of the way, sun, with the face. Yep. And then the moon. So there's such neat, cool things, like little nuances, that I love the boards for that reason. That's why when you start getting into this, even one board that you collect, it's like you go, wait, they're all not the same. But listen, this is my thing. I only need one board, you guys. And all my life I've had, until 15 years ago, I had this one little guy right back, chucking my hands, you guys, it's hard. There. And that's all I needed, you guys, because you just need one board. And then I started going, they're all so different. I can't wait to get more.
I love them. I love all of the artwork. I think first of all, I love the artwork because a lot of it is that golden age of exploration when they were opening the tombs of Egypt, and they're exploring the Far East and everything. But this is my favorite thing. Ready?
Yes, I can't wait.
This is a Grove City yearbook.
I heard about this.
This is they named it Ouija because they felt that the students would be getting divine intervention, divine inspiration from the beyond, from all the scholars and everything. They have since changed the name, but I picked this one up a while ago.
What year? What circa is that?
Oh, this
70s?
is
Early 70s?
Yeah, no, 60s, late 60s.
Okay. Well, this is what you got to understand, you guys. Let me say, what, you like 67, 68?
Right around 67,
okay,
68.
let me tell you what happened. And I know you're going to know this. What happened in 1966, the William Fuld Company, this big board, sold out to Parker Brothers, that little board back there. When Parker Brothers bought it in 1966, the first year in production through 1967, it outsold their highest selling game at the time, which was Monopoly. So that's why I'm saying Ouija was so dang popular, you guys, that I wasn't surprised to hear. And I heard about it. Maybe I heard it from you on the collectors group. Did you share that in the collectors group?
I probably did. That one travels with me when I go to different shows.
Yeah, you guys.
So that I can show them that I show people that, listen, it's not a big thing. But can I just share with you my favorite board?
It's your show. It's not mine.
let me just dig it out. My favorite. I like damaged boards.
I do too. I rescue them.
I think that what I love about damaged boards is the fact that I know that people use them. And that to me, the fact that you can go and you're touching something that other people have used, that I love it. Well, this is a talking board. Let me just bring it up. This is a talking board.
Oh,
and I love this one.
Look at that.
But what I love to do is go and say, well, after you're done contacting the spirits,
play checkers.
Play checkers, but it's also a patented lap table so you can put it on your lap and eat your lunch. That's why I love this. This is such a beautiful piece, and a lot of them. This is not unusual. You see them all over
there's a
the
lot
place.
of old boards, you guys, from that era. Was that the 40s, 30s, 40s?
This is 40s. Yeah, this is
the
early
40s. They
40s.
started getting into, like he mentioned, the exotic Far East, and then so they got the
Yes.
Mystic, and so a lot of them flipped over and would have the checkerboard chess, whatever you want to play on it. But also some of them were trays, like Mystic, the Hasbro board. They're trays. They bring the little cocktail drinks out. There you go, right there.
You mean this one?
Yes, the Mystic tray, you guys. That's one of my favorites.
This is a great one, and
most collectors have that one.
I won't tell you what I paid for this one.
I'm gonna guess 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once in a while you get a really good deal. I think I paid about $35.40 for mine. I got mine a later date, but I gotta tell you that you won't always. That's really good deal. Okay, that's a good deal.
It is. It's one of my favorites.
But I love it.
One last thing is I always like to mention when it comes to Ouija boards, the late Ray Buckland. Ray loved round boards because he felt that it was easier for people to go and for spirit to maneuver and the whole thing. So I love that. And when I was up at the Cleveland Museum, and I saw some round boards up there, and I didn't think anything of it. But Stephen Intermill said that those were original Buckland boards, and the ones that he made. Wow. And I have one of his production ones that's on Mylar that he made or he had made, and he gave. I think he gave that to me not too long before he passed away. So those are really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful mementos, but it's just a wonder. This whole topic of talking boards and Ouija boards is something that has been underground for so long, and we're starting to bring it out and trying to go. And I thank you for coming on the show tonight because of the fact that we're actually able to go and present these things out there in a non-freak show atmosphere, because most of the time, yourself, this is freak show stuff. And it is. Well, hey, listen. That was me in another life. Let me tell you, I was a sideshow Barker kid.
I'm not judging.
But Karen, I got to thank you so much for being on. How can people get a hold of you and learn more about you, about the society, about Ouija boards, about everything everything that just concerns the esoteric and the iridescent, Karen?
Well, look, everybody's got to have a little bling sometimes, right? So I come with my big old OUIJA necklace and everything and my earrings, Okay, listen, you guys, I want to say thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. Great comments. I wish I could keep up with them. It's hard. Just trying to engage over here, but glad you guys joined us. You're good followers of Tim, and Tim's fantastic. Thank you, Tim, for having me on this opportunity. I love black cats. I had to come join the lounge and wear my cool necklace and, be gangsta style. But let me tell you. All right. So you guys, please visit us at tbhs.org. We got to have fun with this, you guys. By the way, the spirit guides are humorous. They tell me the funniest freaking things on the board when they communicate. And I've had sessions where they just come through and just say the funniest thing. People are like, I go, that's our humor. Anyway, so we should have fun. But come to Karen A. Dahlman, put the A in there, like my name here, KarenADahlman.com. Go look me up on YouTube. Join me on my YouTube channel. I have, 220, 30 videos of Ouija and people that do paranormal information to share or have spiritual experiences, but I do a lot of Ouija stuff there. Because that's definitely my interest. I just finished a 5-part series with Gene Orlando, who I mentioned earlier, the curator, the owner of museumoftalkingboards.com. Visit us there, see that video. Tim's going to be a guest here soon. We were talking about that earlier. I can't wait because, boy, we got a lot to share, dude. We got a lot to talk about.
I don't know. All I can say is the check's in the mail, Karen. That's all I can say. Is the check's definitely in the mail. I'll have to buy the first round up in the Sioux. You know that.
I know that. Listen, I'm glad Nancy put some money in the coffer too. That's great. Thank you, Nancy. But listen, you guys, it's been an absolute pleasure and joy. I love talking about the Ouija board, and I love to have fun while we do it. And thank you again, Tim. It's just been an honest, fun, good time, but an honor.
I love it every minute of it. This was a phenomenal show. Stick around. I want to thank you properly off the air.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Fantastic. You're Karen. What can I say? You're just Karen. That's it. Okay, hold on. Hold on a couple of minutes. Hey guys, I got to tell everybody that this has been a great show. I've loved Karen. I've been wanting Karen on the show for the longest time because people are always coming, they come down into my basement and they look at my collection and they're going, it's not the voodoo dolls that scare them. It's not the stuff that I've moved out of poltergeist houses. It's not, it's the Ouija boards up on top of the cabinets that really catch their attention. So tonight has been a great, great, great evening to dispel some myths and have some fun. And I want to thank everybody that has been, hanging out with us tonight. And, listen, guys, I appreciate every minute that you're here. And again, keep the healing going for everybody out there. Keep that healing going because it's working. It's definitely working. And there's some people out there that really need it. And after the service yesterday, I was contacted by a few more people that will have to go and add to our list. So remember, keep it going. Keep it going, guys. And, as always, what else? This has been Tim Shaw. You're listening to Where Else? The Black Cat Lounge, where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station here in beautiful downtown Western New York, where it was 80 degrees yesterday and it will snow tomorrow. So we'll see you. Thanks for being here and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye. Ciao, guys. Ciao.